Hello, my name is Jennifer Bond, and I'm a third grade teacher from Walled Lake, Michigan. I just ended my 20th year as an elementary teacher, and most of those years have been spent in a third grade classroom impacting the hearts and minds of students. There are many things that I love about being an elementary teacher. First and foremost is the amazing creative things that I can do with children, especially revolving around maker spaces. It's a passion of mine, and I just feel blessed that I'm able to do that year after year. Another thing that's awesome about being a teacher with elementary children is the unconditional love they have for you. Whether it's hugs, drawings, notes, and cards, children are always eager to share how much they enjoy you. In fact, this bucket filler was given to me after the first week of school. 1 week in, I'm on a BFF level. I mean, does it get any better than that? Another thing that's great about being an elementary teacher is we get lots of gifts. We get gifts for every holiday. There's been many awesome gifts over the years, but one really stands out in my memory. It was my very first year. I taught first grade, and one of my little students brought me a basket tied with a tie-dyed shoelace. Inside it was lotion, Hershey Kisses, and as I was digging in, I saw a man's chest emerge. This child had also given me a Chippendale air freshener. It was very clear that he had maybe gone around his house picking up odds and ends. I'm pretty sure his parents had no idea that he had given this to me. And it definitely has been one of my most memorable gifts throughout the years and makes for a great teacher lounge conversation as well. Another great thing about being a teacher is getting lots of plants. Over the years, I've gotten orchids, a lot of orchids. How many of you have ever received an orchid? Okay, now, how many of you still have that orchid alive to this date? Like many of you, you probably have thrown it away, as I did for the probably majority of my career. I'd let them blossom, bloom, and they were in the garbage once they all of the blossoms fell off. Well, my mom told me that she was able to get one of her orchids to reblossom. So a couple of years ago, I got an orchid as a gift, and I said, I'm going to give this a whirl. I'm going to see if I can get this to reblossom. Well, I would put the ice cube. If those of you that don't know how you feed orchids, you just put an ice cube once to twice a week, and that's all it really takes to keep it alive. Well, eventually the blossoms fall off, and there you are, just stuck with the stem. Now, my husband thought I was ridiculous by continually putting an ice cube in the pot, looking at just a blank stem. And he would say, Jennifer, it's dead. Stop, just throw it away. And I would say, no, my mom said this works. And he was like, Jennifer, look at it. It's dead. Feel the leaves. They're brittle. Or I never felt brittle leaves, but he seemed to think that they were. And I came home one day and he had thrown it away. And I was so mad at him because I didn't get to see if all of the ice cubes that I fed it over the time even made a difference. So this past June, I received another orchid. And I said, I am going to keep this one alive. So I went ahead and I fed it the ice cube every week. And we sat there and watched the stem, sit there on the windowsill in our kitchen. And my husband again said, Jennifer, throw it away. These things don't continue to live. I'm like, yes, they do. Well, lo and behold, December comes around. And I said, is that new growth coming? A new stem? And then the buds started coming and the blossoms started to emerge and they bloomed. And we have enjoyed this orchid all winter long for months. Months. I mean, they are still here blossoming and showing their beauty. And as I looked at them and thought about the growth of these orchids, I couldn't help but think about my students. I mean, how many times are we trying new things with our students and having no clue if what we're doing is going to impact them? How the conversations, how the new curriculums, and all of those things, how are they going to impact the kids? One of the new things that I've been trying over the last 3 years is restorative practices. And for those of you that are unaware, restorative practices essentially are ways to get children to feel empathy, compassion for each other, to really impact the learning community, and to teach children how to solve problems, how to repair any harm that they've caused. And this can be done in a continuum of ways. It could be, telling a kid, hey, buddy, what happened? What were you thinking when you were doing that? Who was impacted by your behavior? And what are you going to do to make things right? It's all about repairing harm and getting kids to be accountable about their behavior. You could have small conferences where the peers kind of mediate their issues, and you can have circles. And it's really building circles to build that community, to create a school family. And the circles could be fun questions to get to know you. It could be, what are the highs and the lows of the week? It could be a learning circle, share the highlights of a unit. But it also could be done when there's been harm in the classroom, and it could be a healing circle. Um, this past year, well, my last year was proved to be one of my worst years in education. It was my 19th year as a teacher, and it felt like I was a first year teacher all over again. I'll be honest, my classroom management was lacking. And no matter what I tried, no matter what I did, it didn't seem to make an impact. There were several nights that I would come home and I would cry because I felt like a failure. And I there were times I wanted to give up. There were times that I couldn't wait for that school year to be over. But of course, I didn't give up, and I continually tried new things and to share that love. And um, in January, I had a new student came to my classroom. Before he came, we got a 50-page PDF that shared all of the interventions that would be needed in a behavior plan, as well as all the things that have been done with observations. We also would have phone calls with his previous principal, resource room teacher, and he did prove to be one of the most difficult children that I've ever taught in my classroom. From being very disruptive in the classroom to being physical with other students to having a lot of choice words come out of his mouth. Side note, he never said anything to me. My student teacher did get the brunt of it at times, but no matter what I tried to do, it never seemed to be enough. There were a lot of peaks and valleys, more valleys. And that year ended with me just thinking that I probably could have done more. I don't know if I made a difference in his life. I don't think I got through to him. And I usually get through to those kids. Those are my specialty kids. And for him, it didn't seem like I had done enough. Well, in the summer, we had found out that he moved to a different school district. But then, 3 weeks into the school year, we found out he was going to return to Glengarry Elementary, that his grandmother hadn't enrolled him yet in a school, that he had requested to come to school and was asking if he could return to Glengarry Elementary. He had been through 5 schools already in his 4 years in education, and he had never asked to go to school, never wanted to go to school. And it was at that moment that I realized that everything that I did, all of the things that I tried, every time I told him, I love you, I care about you, I want you to be successful, it did make a difference. He was my little orchid staying dormant. And it was at that time that I was able to see the buds. I was able to see the growth. I was able to see that I am in his heart. And sometimes kids take different paths and growths emerge in different ways. Sometimes some take a little bit longer to show their growth. But we have to remember as educators, nourish those kids. Teach them new things and see what happens. Work with them and don't give up on them. Stay committed to them. We have an obligation to turn our little children into orchids and make sure that they can share their beauty with the world. Thank you so much.